Can you feel the tremendous energy this morning? Oh my gosh, I'm just so overwhelmed. It's so beautiful. And that song was given to us by Spirit for this Sunday, and just a beautiful um, reminder how we can create all those things. We, so I think it's especially wonderful to feel the beauty and the love and the light and the peace shining out this morning, because I don't know about you, but the last few weeks have been challenging. There's so much disruption in the energies, and I find myself at times struggling to stay centered. And again, I have to reset, you know. So, and then I've had a lot of people reaching out for prayer or for counseling that are in the same place. Just big things are going on. So I started just walking with all of that energy and asking, what do we need here? Well, Spirit answered in a quote that came across something I was reading that said, "No one can drive you crazy unless you give them the keys." So we're taking back the keys today. I think we are so fortunate to know the truth that we have that power. We're so blessed. The truth of that statement just rang in my head, and I walked into that day, and I was being particularly upset by the negative ads on TV. And my daughter in Ohio subscribes to the Muslim faith, and I talked to her, and she said that she was fasting. I said, I need to fast from those things. And it's almost like once I said the words, and maybe a day of like muting the TV, then it wasn't important anymore. It just evened out. So this is the power that we have and that I want to talk about today. So I started to explore, what do we need to do to take back the keys? And I think I've told you before that Spirit often whispers and speaks to me as I'm coming out of sleep. And so the answer came to me one morning as I moved out of that sleep state into awakened state. And the message that Spirit repeated over and over again was self-care. I think we're challenged by that one, aren't we? I mean, I used to think that was selfish. I was raised to think that was selfish by a 1950s mother who devoted her whole energy and her whole life to her husband and 5 children. But I'm learning. So from that point of Spirit waking me up with self-care, then I started to look at what boundaries do I need to set. Self-care resonates because it acknowledges the divine within. And then everything we do to support that effort is magnified because Spirit is right in there working with us. When we do this self-care, it also affects everything and everyone around us. Because when we're in that divine energy, we radiate that divine energy. So I think we can forget sometimes that we're creators. That we need to speak into our life what we want to manifest into form. And so that's what I did when I said I'm going to fast from the negativity. And it took over because I was aligned with the highest energy in me. It makes it important then to pay attention, to keep vigil over your thoughts instead of letting ourselves be pulled along by the resident energies in our environment, in the media, or in those we associate with. Dr. Michael Beckwith writes, the only malady you suffer from is the illusion of being separate from spirit, separate from God. Take that one in. Only malady you suffer from is the illusion of being separate from spirit. So, as we move into that place, we take back the keys. As I worked through this, I was reminded of Unity's 5 basic principles. Now, I don't know if you're like me, but any of us who have been in Unity for a long time, it's like, I've heard that. That's old stuff, and you kind of tune down. But I'm going to ask you not to this time, because I found an interpretation that resonated for me by Ron Curtis, and he is a scholar of all religions. And he kind of condensed this into a very simple and straightforward stating of the principles with more clarity for me. I hope it's for you too. So, the first is God is good. God is absolute good and everywhere present and the source and creator of all. The second is people are good. People, each and every one of us has a spark of divinity at our core. I know it's sometimes hard to see. I often have trouble seeing it in myself. However, we know that it's there. We know that we are created from that beautiful and perfect source. And the more we affirm it, the more it comes into play and comes out in our experience. The third is thoughts create experiences. Human beings create their experiences through the activity of their thinking. Everything has its beginning in thought. Positive attitude leads to positive things in your life. The fourth prayer is connection. How simple and beautiful. Prayer is connection. Prayer heightens our connection with God and therefore brings forth wisdom, healing, prosperity, and everything good. Through affirmative prayer and meditation, I connect with God to bring good into my life. And the fifth principle, action is needed. Knowing and understanding the laws of life is not enough. We must live in the truth we know through our thoughts, words, and actions. So as we take these truths in, we affirm the divine within us and within all people, and we move away from the superficial. Challenging sometimes. The superficial can take over, but we take back the keys when we bring our love and awareness to what's going on in our lives and mostly in us, within us. So when we take back the keys, we move into the mind of God. We see with new eyes. We release judgment. That frees us to open to a higher energy and move into greater light and love. Last week, I saw a PBS program. It was an episode of the show Garden Smart. And for me, this illustrated what we're talking about this morning. This particular episode focused on Gibbs Gardens. And Jim Gibbs, who is the retired president and founder of Gibbs Landscape Company in Atlanta, which is one of the leading companies for landscaping in that area. So he was describing the details of the vision that he had and that he created over the years. He knew exactly how much land he wanted. I'm pretty sure it was 30 acres. He knew exactly that he wanted plenty of water sources within that. He knew exactly that he wanted old growth trees on the property. It just goes on and on. I was just amazed. He found, and the other thing was he knew it. He wanted it to be near these two main highways in the area, so that there was easy access. And I watched this and I thought, I'm always in awe of architects or anybody, artists that have that vision, and then they create it from their inner world. I thought a lot about this during the week. I have 4 children, and I don't think I ever had a moment when I thought, in 30 years, this is what I want. But you just get in there and you work day after day. And I maybe had deep down some idea, that I wanted them to be a blessing to the world. I wanted them to be filled with love and light and happiness. And so maybe I am a creator in that way, but I didn't make any 30-acre garden, I'll tell you. So he saw all this before he even found the land. And then he found that land with all of those varying landscapes and the water and the access from the highways. And he knew that it was going to take 30 years to create and develop that the way he envisioned it. I don't know about you, but that's huge to me. To hold that vision and to continue to work. And if you go online and look, it's just absolutely amazing. So those 30 years have now come and gone. I think it's 40 actually. And he achieved that vision in a stunning, stunning way. We all have some sort of vision for our lives if we're aware, if we're awakened. And just like Jim Gibbs, there's going to be rocks and there's going to be setbacks, and they're going to, I didn't see that coming, right? But when we stay with that vision and we stay connected to the oneness, to the higher power that is in us and in every single thing, every other person, every rock, every tree, then we know that we can continue to walk forward, even through the rough times. Charles Fillmore talked about the imagination, and that's what we're seeing here, was the imagination of Jim Gibbs. Charles Fillmore said, "The imagination is a wonderful creative power. It builds all things out of one substance. Whatever you form in the mind and have faith in will become substantial." He further reminds us that then you should be on guard as regards to what you put your faith in. This reminds us, as I said before, about keeping vigil over our minds. What do we put our faith in? Oh, this is going to be a disaster if such and such happens. What are we putting our faith in? So let's put all these pieces together, which is always a challenge. I talked to Barbara earlier this week, and I had all these pieces, but Thursday is always the day that it all hits me, and I'm like, there is no way I'm going to get these pieces to fit together. I've learned it now. Now when Thursday comes and I feel that way, I'm just like, this is just the way it goes. This is just the process. So, let's start with this. We are indelibly, in other words, permanently and ineradicably connected to the one power of all good. We are also, in the same way, connected to each other and to all things. As we move our awareness to what's happening in our lives, or what we want to create, we use that power. I just felt something come right through me in that moment I said that. And the power worked so well this morning with the music, with Karen's words, And it's amazing how it happens week after week. That power brings us all together, and because we're one mind. So through awareness, prayer, and meditation, we define more clearly, with the help of Spirit, those things we desire to create. We come into alignment, and we feel that peace within us when we're in that place of alignment. Then we take action. We take a step. We live in the truth we know. And let me just tell you this. If you take a step or two, you'll know if it's not the right step. All of the guidance comes in and keeps you where you need to be when you work with that awareness. If at any point in the process we notice that we're not experiencing the energy that we desire, then we can retrace the steps. We can correct the path. We can take back the keys and correct our course. So we're about to enter a time when there's a lot of things that might be distracting us. There's potholes and unexpected detours that could all throw us off course. It's also a time of amazing blessings, amazing, beautiful, unexpected gifts. That's always true. Now, as I write this, I'm thinking winter's coming, which we had last week, right? It's over? So we got through that. We obviously have a huge election ahead of us this week. We have many holidays. Everything's different. All the rules that we followed before, we have to look at them again. We have to look at, do we get together for the holidays? Do we have holiday parties? There's so many things going on right now that could throw us off track. However, it might be a little different, but we also know what's not different. What's not different is our oneness with Spirit and our oneness with all things. So none of these things need to be difficult or disrupting. We just have to keep the keys in our hand. Now, I think Deb had a little problem when I gave her the title because she said, I can't have the car? But now I hope you understand. So just like Jim Gibbs, we can envision the scene that we want. We start from the end. We imagine there's no sorrow, no disruption in our peace. We imagine a beautiful new kind of holiday season. We imagine it's all wonderful. I mean, can you just feel it just talking about it? Take that energy as you move forward. What a privilege we have to know that we have this power of our unity with God, the good, of our unity with one another, and mostly the ability to choose love over and over again as we move down the road. Let's each commit to using that immense power of love and creativity and goodness to contribute only good as we go forward, no matter what happens. This does not move me. So then we're centered in the highest energy of the universe. And we can move forward in grace and in peace. You have the power to make this happen. You hold the keys. An essential element that is the fertile ground, that is the nurturing foundation of all of this, is self-care. Reverend Jane Beach writes, self-care involves addressing my needs. When the energy of the world is chaotic, I reach in for peace, spending quiet time with the beloved. Then I putter in the garden, call a friend to chat, no complaining, listen to music, get lost in a good book, take a walk. Oh, I took a walk last night. You got to get out there today. It's beautiful. Think about all you're grateful for. Removing myself from chaos, she says, I pull myself back into peace. This is our choice.